No, no, definitely Bangladesh has some weather-related challenge, but today it's okay because we have some rain and all of the things happening. So that's why it's not difficult, but definitely the weather and other things is increasing. But honestly speaking, some point, even though I do focus on science and innovations, I'm a big believer of science and innovations. I can remember in the COVID-19 era, I think when the Spot TV started, or we started together. That time, scientists say that millions of Bangladeshi people will die because of COVID-19, but it never happened. Science is good, but some point, like they also predict which is relevant. In some point, I want to be very honest. Nick, I understand that you understand this emerging economy very well. It's look like you have a empathy and sympathy about that. But fact is that somehow this Western world intellectual communities and property they do not have clear understanding about the emerging economy, uh, about our weather, about our climate change, about our economy,
Mhm.
about our uh, politics, about our infrastructures, all of the things. I think that that is the major actually gap, and we can minimize the gaps. I saw a lot of Western world scientists, inventor, businessmen, and other people, but I appreciate Port TV that you have sympathy and empathy. I understand you have a clear understanding, or at least as a human you have. But even in my entire careers, I find thousands of Americans they do not understand. They are elite group of peoples and they do not understand properly. But they are big scientists. They said, "Hey, millions of people dies in Bangladesh because of COVID." It's never happened because they do not have real prediction. The same way, climate change is real, wet and other El Nino and everything is fine. Even yesterday, I do discuss with Dr. Brian. From Stanford University. He is a president or CEO of this climate foundations. He discussed many things. I say, sorry to say, you have 90% wrong predictions about Bangladesh. 90%. So,
Oh, really?
so, so,
By the way, has he ever been to Bangladesh?
no, 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 never, never,
By the way,
never.
Dr.
He
Sharif,
do everything,
that's the
everything. That
problem.
is the question I asked first time.
By the way, that is also the problem because I had somebody on the internet also try to explain all the problems that Europe has, and I said, no, it doesn't. They were claiming the tax rates are high and this and that, and the medical situation is bad. And I said, no, you know, have you ever been here? I don't think they've ever been to Spain or to Europe and lived here, so they don't know. And so I think that's what you're seeing, Dr. Sharif, is people are making their opinions based on their beliefs of the fairy tales they read in the United States. But until they've gone to your country and lived there for a while, they don't know. You see what I mean? That's
So
just basically
do
it.
you get when do you get monsoons and flooding? What time of year is that?
Naturally, this time it's come, but definitely there are some changes and other things. But how scientists are predicting about that, it is not
Because
happening.
I'm just looking at a map of Dhaka, and you guys are surrounded by a big river and a smaller river come together right below you. You're kind of
Try to understand what I talking about wisdom. I think some point Nick Palveda share about that, and I am developing largest smart city projects inside Dhaka. We call it Wisdom City, based on our culture, based on our economy, based on our finance and everything. And it's
okay.
we are also working with the river restorations, like this Burigonga, what you were discussing. You are exactly right. The Burigonga restorations. So this is
So
actually
yeah, it used to be like in Los Angeles. We took the LA River and we surrounded it with concrete. We put it underground and it makes for an uglier river. It gives us a little bit of flood
yeah.
control, but if we ever have climate events, it's probably going to not be great for us the way we've penned in the river. And you guys are probably working on better ways to deal with your waterways.
Yeah. But that is the way we need more innovations like global north and global south. That is the area World Talent Economic Forum working, and I do focus on wisdom. Why I do focus on wisdom? Let's say Kimberly, let's say Nick Palmeda, let's say Rick. You have your own wisdom, which is valuable, right? Very very valuable. But
I don't
we
know.
are
I
just
mean,
discussing.
the way I
No,
use it, it's not very valuable, but
but
okay.
but, but but definitely how are you using this chat GPT? The recently MIT said that you can lose your intellectual ability the more you use chat GPT. So I'm worried about you. You are right.
Yeah.
So
No,
so
I'm
things is
super lazy. It just feeds me like
Yeah, Rick has Chat GDP. He doesn't need wisdom anymore. He's got the AI, man.
I mean, no, I throw up my hands because like it was I got pissed off in the 70s when they introduced pocket calculators because my one chance of like impressing girls was like doing math in my head, which is if that's your one chance, you're not going to get a girlfriend. But it really even lowered my chances then because anybody with $100 back then could buy a calculator. Now they're
Yeah.
$1.
It
Now
lowered your chances mathematically, Rick. Oh, by the way, I have
yeah.
an Apple Watch, my first Apple Watch.
so
But
so
so
so,
now,
so
now,
what
now
Could save your life.
yeah, it has a lot of features on it. It tells you your heart rate and all the bad stuff you're doing. I'm not sure if I really like it yet,
So
but
does it have
it's-
oxygen level? Because the last
yeah, it
time,
has oxygen level.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a
last I
wearable, so it
looked,
has all
they
your
had a
health
patent
stuff.
infringement they had to overcome. So
Really?
I didn't know if they'd overcome it or not, but I
One
want
of the-
one once they get that. So
one of the great things about your watch is 3 of us here are in our AFib years where sometimes your heart will feel if you have too much coffee, your heart will get a little gallopy, and you can go on your watch and you go, "Am I having an AFib attack?" And your watch can give you an EKG and say, "Nah, you're okay."
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
okay. All right, now I got another question since we're talking about health. What happens? It says you're not okay. What
well
do you
then
do?
Doctor.
you monitor it for a few hours because AFib really isn't that dangerous unless it goes on for more than 12 hours. It's
I
annoying.
wouldn't wait to go to the doctor in America because you're gonna once you get to the ER, they're so overflown with need and not enough doctors. You'll wait until you die if there is a problem. So
You're in the waiting room.
the waiting
America.
room, which is very dangerous, whereas in other countries,
No,
they don't
the
really
way
have
you
a
do
waiting
it,
room.
the way before you go to the emergency room, or you can Google it on your phone. What are the symptoms of a heart attack that will get you seen immediately? And even if you
Yes,
don't have those symptoms, you take
absolutely.
them, and then there are certain symptoms where if you tell the doctors, they have to take you.
Yeah, foaming at the mouth isn't one of them, but yeah, absolutely. The key is to get seen immediately, but there are hundreds of people in the waiting room waiting to be seen for something dire. So just go. I wouldn't wait anymore or call an ambulance if you are waiting. If you're going to wait, call an ambulance because they are equipped to help you with a heart attack. And if you are, they can call ahead and get you into a hospital slightly faster. Yeah, my doctor was testing out his new stethoscope. It's a new toy he had, and he'd just gotten it that day, and it has an EKG built in it. So he doesn't have to, he was just testing it out. He said he's not going to trust it 100%, but it has the ability to do everything that all those probes on your chest do. So pretty cool.
I guess if you're in a big city, which a lot of us are, you can probably also Google which emergency room you want to go to, which has the.
Well, in this case,
if you're in the United States, you need to Google which one is on your insurance plan, because they're not, even though there's a law in North Carolina, but it might not be in every state. Even though we're United States, we're not united by laws. You could end up going to the wrong hospital. Now, what a lot of people don't know is the law, and the law from North Carolina says that every emergency room has to accept your insurance, whether it's covered under that facility or not. But if they move you to the ICU there and you're not covered under that hospital, it's a argument for a very long time. So they can move you but it's better. And I've seen this happen recently where they put someone in an ambulance to move them to a hospital where they're covered, which is, America needs to get smart, go under a different kind of, get rid of insurance and go under a different kind of health.
Well, here's what AI says. If you're having a heart attack, go to the nearest emergency room. If it's non-life threatening, if you just slice the heck out of your hand in the kitchen, you can Google they say most emergency rooms list wait times.
Yep. Well,
and generally, like urgent cares are a good way of showing up and getting not much care and getting a huge bill. So
they now have in our area non-hospital. In other words, you can't go to get a room for surgeries, but they do have emergency rooms and an ER kind of a room for standalone emergency rooms, and they are pretty high tech. They're not the doc in the box at CVS. They're a step above. They have a lot of the equipment that they can do, and doctors and surgeons that can do things, like stitching and things like that. And then if it's beyond their capabilities, they can get you to the next level. And I've been to one of those for bee stings. So yeah, they're pretty good. They're close by. They're more localized. And like I said, they're one step above doc in a box. The sad part is the state won't let them put up signs along the roadside saying that an emergency room is right around the corner. So, emergency room this way, they're for whatever reason, they don't have that. So a lot of people don't know they exist, but pretty cool idea. I like Bali's way of doing things. You call them and they've got a certified nurse equipped with everything that comes to you first within minutes. And they're all over the place, and they come to you, and then they have a triage kit, and if you need more help, they get a ambulance.
All right, Lloyd.
So it's pretty, Bali has a really good healthcare system. So does Albania. Albania, to me, is phenomenal healthcare system. They're doctors and they're nurses, and you just walk in and there's no waiting room. They just check you in. And there's lots of people who need help there. I mean, they're there, but you're not in a waiting room. They check you in. You have nurses taking care of you. But the key thing is they're not checking your insurance card to see if you qualify for care or what kind of care you qualify before they treat you. You're not sitting in
Albania. They might be a little pissed at you if you're an American right now, because Jared Kushner is.
They're pissed at our government. They're pissed at Trump. They're not so much pissed at Americans. They love Americans.
Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, is part of an investment group that's bought an Albanian island to turn it into a resort. Now, Albanians are massing in the streets saying, you can't take away our island.
Well, Albania just got out of communism back in 1997, and they kicked all of those communist, racist pigs out of their country. They should have killed them or executed them like they were doing to the Albanians, but instead they booted them out. And you know where most of them went? America. So that to me sounds like the communists are going back. But I also think
this is an island that is a flamingo reserve or some, and thousands of people take into this. It looks like more than. There's a picture here of the Capitol where it's like 20,000 people maybe out in the streets.
I'm shocked that they made this deal. When you go to Albania, there's such a wonderful community. Their children, their intelligence far exceeds our children by 10 years in education. They speak multiple languages, their first language being Albanian, second American. Their children are just highly educated. They can run a business by the time they're 8 years old. So I would, they targeted, I believe Trump targeted Albania because Romania is not putting up with their crap anymore with the child sex trafficking and the pedophiles. You know, Trump rescued the Tate brothers from there. Erica Kirk's business was kicked out of there many years ago, I think in 2018. With suspicion of sex trafficking. She was giving away teddy bears to little children through a nonprofit. And that was about the same time Epstein was coming out of prison. So they were massively, trying to put out their tentacles to get more business going. So, if you look at timelines and piece together certain things that are going on, you can piece together that it's all part of that business and trade. But I feel like they believed that Romania can't be a good target right now because they've been busted too many times, and Albania looked like an easy target because they're still coming out of this communist and growing and financially becoming very, very wealthy and strong.
I don't think you need to be a child sex trafficker to try to exploit these developing countries. I don't think Jared Kushner is a sex. I have no proof one way or the other. I've never heard any allegations. He's a guy who just likes to make a ton of money with some, questionable deals that he gets through because he's the president's son-in-law.
Well, and there's $1 billion business there, and Trump learned it through Epstein. $1 billion, more than $1 billion a year, and they did it very successfully through the weaker countries that they could target. And I think that hopefully their day has come to an end. But on a different note, there's a British leader that has resigned, and that was on Reuters this morning. I didn't catch it anywhere else.
Farmer. So we should look up how long he lasted. I think it was probably maybe a year and a half.
2 years. Well, a year and a half before people didn't like him. So, yeah, about a year and a half before people were pushing him to leave. His speech was heart-rendering. I don't know if he was good or bad, but his speech was very tearful. There's, what's going to happen there?
He represents the Labor Party, which is the more liberal party, and he's going to be replaced with another Labor PM. And you got to be pretty nimble under their system to keep a ruling coalition in power.
Yep.
So, under their system, maybe it's a little too easy to kick out a leader. Under our system, it's a little too hard because our leader, frankly, sucks. And
yeah, our country has joined the list with Russia and China as being considered one of the most dangerous countries in the world. So, we're going backwards for us. And, you see other countries are correcting whatever they think is bad for them. So I don't know. Can
I ask Jatovia a soccer question? So they changed the rules.
Yeah, let's talk sports.
So for the first time, the U.S. has made it through to the knockout rounds of the World Cup after the first two games, at least partially because they changed the rules of how you qualify for the knockout rounds. So the U.S. has a third game in the group round to play against Turkey that's meaningless. Nothing can happen in that game that will affect how the U.S. Who the U.S. plays next. Is this a good thing or not a good thing, or doesn't matter, Jatovia?
It doesn't really matter. The U.S. has a weak draw, so their table that they were sitting in. Sasha's a big soccer person as well. And yeah, he can tell you the U.S. had a really weak draw. So they were bound to come out of that table. They were going to make it to the knockout round. Now they'll get paired up with somebody and get knocked out in the knockout round, first round of the tournament is my guess. The men's team I mean, they're better than they have been, but the men's team can't compete on the world stage still yet.
No. So is Canada the same thing? I mean, they had that big win 6-0 against some lousy team. Don't remember what team is that, but it doesn't matter because once they will play again. Actually, next match they're playing against Switzerland, and Switzerland is nothing exceptional. It's a kind of a medium power European team, and I'd like to see how Canada will perform against Switzerland, which is not one of the strongest teams of the tournament, but it's a well-organized mid-European team. And I would like to see what Canada will show against Switzerland. Yesterday were some absolutely incredible matches. For example, Uruguay couldn't win against Cape Verde. It's a kind of an island group of islands, west coast of Africa. I think it's an island where St. Helena, where Napoleon Bonaparte was sent to spend his last days. So that's what the Uruguay, one of the, well, they're not the most powerful team in the world by any means, but they have 2 titles, and normally they should qualify easily. Now, this time, I'm not sure that they will qualify at all because they have 2 draws against weak teams, and the third game they're playing against Spain. Spain most likely will demolish them, so that will leave them with 2 points and out. Even if they will somehow draw the Spain, they will have 3 points, and 3 points, probably, maybe they will qualify with 3 points, but it's you have to make a draw with Spain. How are you going to do it?
So this is the first World Cup that has 48 teams instead of 32, and then 32 teams in the knockout round instead of 16. So there have been more weak teams invited to the World Cup, which means that teams like the U.S., like you said, can do better in the early rounds because there are more weak teams to be paired against.
You see, the weak team, it's not the most important quality here. The most important quality, unfortunately, is that when the team is, like US, for example, when a lot of players are playing in European leagues, so they have a certain level of technique, they understand the game, they understand the traditions of the games and so on. Now you have this, most of the African teams and some Asian. I would make a special world championship just for these teams because they are breaking legs, they're maiming players because of lack of techniques, because of lack of understanding of the game and its traditions. They have to play in their own league. Please don't bring them because you need 48 teams. Next time it's going to be 96 teams. Then it's going to be 325 teams. You don't need that garbage because a lot of these new teams, they don't know how to play soccer. They're maiming players. And I don't know what others, maybe they enjoy it. I don't want to see that type of soccer. Get them all out.
Okay.
I agree.
So I just looked it up, and there have been 3, no more, 5 players for major teams who've had injuries. I guess due to getting what you would call not great soccer. Somebody on your team, Kone from Canada, horrific fracture to his tibia and fibula against Qatar. Anyway. All right.
Yeah, that was big news last week because he was the first injured. So a major injury.
Not injury, it's a major injury. He will be out of the game for at least a year.
Yeah,
with a very
first
difficult
major
recovery. And for what? for getting somebody from Africa who was chasing gorillas all his time.
No, it's Qatar. It was Qatar. Qatar is, those guys are oil sheiks, aren't they?
Was
Yeah,
it?
so that guy's not chasing gorillas. That guy is chasing oil wells.
Well, it doesn't change a lot of things for a Canadian team. Blair.
Okay. I mean, it is. I mean, it's interesting though to watch how the World Cup has pulled so many different cultures together. I have enjoyed watching the many different interviews of just the people, not of the athletes and everything else like that. I feel like Iran was given a bad deal. The Iranian soccer players have to stay in Mexico and commute back and forth. And I think that's a little bit unfair advantage. But I guess they're happy just to be in America playing in the World Cup, or just playing in the World Cup, period. Doesn't have to be in America.
There's the head of the Fed, Alan Greenspan, is dead at age 100. This guy ran the Federal Reserve for 19 years. And I don't know, generally did a good job, did some stuff that, Sasha, did he do a good job?
Yeah, generally he was well respected, and he had the consensus most of the times, if not all times, on Federal Reserve. So he was a tough act to follow. I think he performed quite well, and he's created a legacy. By the way, he was a great clarinet player, and he was, even when he was already chairman of Fed, he was going to some New York jazz clubs and sitting in.
That's what I thought. He was a big chess player. You're absolutely right.
He liked chess too, and he was playing clarinet on Mondays in a couple of clubs. So he was coming in and he was sitting in and enjoyed himself tremendously. But there were a lot of, when he was going to these meetings of Fed, there were people who were observing how he held his the portfolio that he was bringing with him, like briefcase. So the way he was handling it, so they could predict what's going to be his next move. And,
I remember that story when he walked out. If he was holding it on his left and it was turned one direction, then
right.
This is what was going on. If he was holding it in his right hand, and if it was flipped a certain direction, then you could make. Yeah, I remember that story quite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
some more people were making a living by predicting what he's going to say by how he holds his
briefcase.
Right. So here's an article talking about Putin's army has 30,000 foreign fighters who've been lured from 130 different countries to Russia with job offers. When they get to Russia, at gunpoint, they're forced to sign a contract that puts them in the army, and then they're sent to the front. And
That's
so
true. That's true.
30,000 right now, and Ukrainian intelligence says that Russia expects to or wants to recruit an additional 18,500 foreigners by the end of this year.
Is that honest recruiting, or is that
no? You get a job offer, and then you show up in Moscow. They take you to an office, they take your passport, and they stick a gun in your face, and they say you're in the Russian army now.
It's luring with kidnapping. It's just all it is, and it should be, considered by any world organization out there wrong. They should be held accountable for that. And these leaders are getting away with murder, basically, and total inhumanity. And there's just, really in my mindset, there's just a few of them, but they're holding a gun on millions of us because we're not doing anything about it. You'll get one or two people, but then they get killed and then everybody gets scared. And that's the way it has been for centuries. Columbus, that's the way he did things. He would, his diaries were finally fully opened, and it was revealed that this is the way he took over America. He wrote back and said, hey, all I need is a few men with a few guns and we can take over thousands of people to be our slaves. That's the way it has been for centuries. And, now there's just millions of us, and we sit around and let them do all of these things. And then we act like it's too late to do anything. I'm just wondering when the big uprise will happen. I mean, we've got to have one eventually. I'm proud of Albania not putting up with any crap. Way to go, people.
All right, speaking of crap, SpaceX. SpaceX had its IPO last week. Just today, it is down 10.5%.
Yeah.
And it's third day of losses. So what Sasha predicted is not a good stock.
No, but Tesla's never really been, it's always been over exaggerated with its value. People get away with that too, and that should be illegal. It should be illegal to overrate your corporate value to cheat people like that. But people are going to invest in it because they want to believe in that overnight $1 billion success, and it's not overnight. And they're intrigued by Elon's $1 billion. I mean, $1 trillion. So that's why people do it. I mean, I personally, and maybe it's not gaining as much traction as he thought it would.
Well, what's happened with this company, it exists since 2002. So it's not a new company. There are some IPOs, new companies, and there are fantastic prospects. It may work, it may not work. But this company has been around for so long, so it has track record. So if you follow their track record, it's not that great, because out of the all conglomerate of companies that brought into this single IPO, you're talking about Starlink. Starlink is very, very promising company, good technology. But unfortunately, it's not just Starlink. They brought also this missiles there, which is losing $5 billion a year. And basically it exists through the contracts with U.S. government. So if this the U.S. government, which is on a hook for $40 trillion, may not be able to spend more time and money on these ventures, then the stock will go down big time.
Well, I mean, think about it. What is the return on investment?
Also,
spending billions of dollars and sending a ship into space. You're not getting anything out of that return on investment.
The return on the investment in terms of science and technology goes into the things that come off of that science and technology. So honestly, the SpaceX was the everything that the thing is, like, everything that we've gotten, like, from Kevlar on, a lot of that comes from that. So SpaceX wasn't the issue. The issue is what Sasha just said, is everything they tied to SpaceX, because it was the AI company, Sasha, because you had mentioned the missiles and that contract with the US, but it was the AI company that was losing money hand over fist that they also threw into that IPO that was tied to SpaceX. And that's where that's where a lot of money was lost. And that's what's causing SpaceX, honestly, to lose money. And they were banking on the contracts, like Sasha said, from the US with the missiles and also the space program. But that's not going to be able to cover the amount of money that they're losing on the AI side of things. And yeah, it was a garbage stock, but they overvalued it based on just Elon Musk's name.
Well, there is a sucker born every minute. So
exactly.
There are a lot of suckers out there. So suckers, welcome. Just buy your stock and enjoy.
Yep.
I mean, it's not. It's like you said. the company's never really had a good track record. It has overnight splash moments, and everybody goes, ah. And that's when the suckers are coming in, because it's those sparkled moments that people go forward and try to do something. But again, his track record is really poor, just like Trump. I mean, we're seeing the results of his track record. And I hate using the reflection pool as an example, but that is an example of his fart of the deals. I mean, I call him fart of the deals because there's nothing good that's ever come out of any of his projects. And have you noticed they got these weird names for every project? I'm sick of it. Every time I hear a weird name of something, I go, oh my God, another tragedy is about to happen. But I mean, fortunately, the $14 million in the tragic pool situation, nobody was killed yet. I mean, they've arrested a lot of people claiming that they were vandalizing a pool that was already falling apart. I think we should just let the people go in, collect their souvenirs, and hopefully it cleans it up. But people were taking the paint out of it because the paint was floating around. And maybe a community cleanup would be better.
You shouldn't get arrested if paint is floating, if chunks of rubber sealant have floated to the surface, and like the kayak guy who got arrested, he was curious, he picked up a piece and was arrested for vandalism. He didn't tear anything out of the pool.
Well, first off, it's hard to probably tear. I don't know, or maybe you have to have I don't know how hard it is to tear that material.
It came loose because the pool was already sealed, and so when they stuck a second layer of sealant on, it didn't stick because there was already sealant. And then Trump drove his big SUVs on top of it, which further weakened the bond.
Yeah.
Well, they're looking. The whole reason these people are getting arrested is because it sells to the MAGA base that it was Democrats who came in and put in algae in the pool. It was Democrats who came and sabotaged all this. So it's just another ploy to take away, to shift the burden, shift the whole idea that I didn't make a mistake. These people ruined it. These people hate you. So it's another way of separating and dividing the country, creating enemies amongst us. And so he can run with that, and that keeps his base in line. They don't care about the truth that rubber was floating to the top and somebody picked it up. They don't care about that.
Don't you think that Iranians possibly got involved, or maybe Jews, or maybe somebody else? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's the Iranians.
The Netanyahu treatment, so maybe they decided, here we go.
It's the Iranians.
Maybe very few of you know that Starmer, who just resigned, he was observant Jew. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, observant Jew. He observed all holidays and take in children to synagogue.
Do you know anything about that? I caught whim of it before I came in. Sometimes I listen to the news in between physical therapies. So, but what was the deal on that?
He just couldn't hold on to his ruling coalition.
Yeah, there were just too many people against him, and so he decided to just give it up.
So in England, like Trump has 39% approval. If we were under a parliamentary system, he couldn't stay in power, because in a parliamentary system, you need to ally yourself with, they have a bunch of little parties. You need to put together a coalition that has a majority, and he lost his majority.
Well, I noticed the elections is showing Democrats are in the lead a bit with the ballots that they're doing. I pulled. I can't put it up right now because we don't have enough time. We're at the end of the day, but they're leading by 40. They got 44%. Republicans are 36%. So we're seeing a shift. and maybe we'll see a bigger shift in the future of getting humans back in office. We're at the top of the hour. Thank you guys for joining
Thank
us,
you.
and a brilliant, beautiful conversation. We'll see everyone tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on World Edition. Until then, everyone, please take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.